Hi there. Hi there. I'm Suranga from Englishman. Today I'm at Gold Fort and going to talk about something very important, really important to you. That is learning languages, learning spoken English basically. What is spoken English and how we can learn the language that is spoken part of it. So it is really windy today and sea is a bit rough. So it's a bit difficult to hold the camera and it's windy and okay. At times you would find it really difficult to understand why we cannot learn the language. Spoken language basically maybe Tamil, maybe Urdu, maybe Hindi, or perhaps English language, or whatever it is. Whatever. There is only one way that you can pick up language, spoken language, or whatever it is the language. So that is what we call comprehensible input. And only one way, even though you learn language in different ways, finally, if you happen to think about how you have learned the language, you would find really that it is comprehensible input. My job today is to tell you a secret. What is the secret? How to learn a language. There is only one way that you can pick up a language. Who says so? Stephen Krashen. Who is Stephen Krashen? The professor. And he is the guy, he, the professor, talks about comprehensible input. Comprehensible input is a theory, um, today's theory of learning languages. So he says that you can learn a language in one way, that is comprehensible input. When you understand messages, now if you understand what I say, you are learning English, not you are listening to a guy. That is what he says. If I am talking about things, explaining things away in Sinhala, you are listening to Sinhala and you understand Sinhala. When you understand Sinhala, what you learn is Sinhala. That is Sinhalese. And as Stephen Krashen says, you learn what you understand. So that is what is important. So it tells you, it shows you that if you want to pick up English language and you have to listen to English language, you have to read English language and so that you can understand English language perfectly. So that is what he says. The problem is when you're learning a language, for example, when you're learning English language, basically what you do is you generally are listening to Sinhala language mostly. Maybe we are explaining things away using Sinhala and mostly Sinhala. So then you are thinking in Sinhala. When you're thinking in Sinhala, you would not develop what? The English language. The massive part of the English language is missing. Therefore, if you want to learn a language, you should try to understand that particular language. But if I am doing all these things in Sinhala, what happens is you try to understand Sinhala, not English language. So if you want to pick up English language, what you should do is listening to English language, especially the spoken part. Why? The spoken part is a sort of a sound. So, if you want to develop that, you have to listen to the spoken language, that is in English. Now, you are listening to me. If you understand what I am talking about, that you are learning English language. That is what Stephen Krashen says. You learn what you understand. It suggests another thing. That is, if you are listening to something, for example, you would say the BBC or British program or sort of a TED talk or a thing like that, and if you don't understand, you're not learning. That is what he says. You try your best to listen to something that you can understand. If what you are listening to is not comprehensible, that is, if you cannot understand, you're not learning. Maybe it's a children's program. It's okay if you understand that, that is for you. But Stephen Krashen says you should try your best to listen to, read things a bit higher than your level. If you are listening to, if you are reading something so that you understand everything perfectly, it is not for you. if you want to improve your language skills. So my secret is, it is not my secret, it is Stephen Krashen's secret. The secret is, if you want to pick up a language, if you want to learn a language, you just listen to the language, especially the spoken part. If you are listening to Sinhala and Sinhala and Sinhala thinking that it is English, you disturb your neural pathways. And the way that you pick up language is forming neural pathways, new neural pathways. What is that? Now, this is my head. Inside my head, there is something called brain. I think you know that. So the brain has millions of neurons, very tiny cells, just like fibers, tiny fibers. When you do something new, new fibers combine to form a pathway, a road. Now, for example, in our country, there are a good number of roads. It is really a network. So you can go anywhere freely. If the roads are not interconnected, do you understand what I say? If these roads are not interconnected, the Gold Road, Candy Road, and they are not connected, you're not free to move. You have to go through forests, all sort of things like that. But connecting everything, there are bridges. This side and that side are something. There are bridges. So everything is connected. So then only you become free and you can drive your vehicle from this particular point to Kandy or to Ratnapura or to somewhere, wherever you want. That is it. That is the thing. But the problem is, if the roads are not connected, you're not free. Your roads are not connected, interconnected. Then what happens is you cannot talk continuously. No bridges, no roads connected. So when you learn something, what happens is special neural pathways, the roads are made. If you do that again and again and again, continuously, for a long period of time, these tiny roads become really good roads and broadways. And finally, if you happen to do the thing continuously again and again, finally they become super highways, so that you can go at a very high speed. Yeah, super highways. So that if you want to speak the language fluently, you have to make new neural pathways inside your brain. To make new neural pathways, new roads, you have to listen to that language. When you're learning English, you think that you are learning English, but if you are listening mostly to English language, maybe that's really beautiful. Maybe the explanations and everything would be wonderful. That is said. But your spoken part is not developed. Learning English through Sinhala is quite okay, no problem. You do that. We have done that. Everything is fine. To learn the language, just like a subject, you can have a good amount of knowledge. You can gain knowledge by doing that. But if you want to speak the language, if you want to write beautifully, not writing essays at school. I mean, the novel or a beautiful letter, so good motivation and with feelings, good feelings. I mean, so you need that neural pathways, new network. To form new network, you have to listen to English language. Whenever you are listening to Sinhala while you are learning English language, your neural pathway is disturbed. You have to form it. When you do that again and again, as I have told you, automatically, naturally, it improves and your highways are made. Oh, that is what I want to tell you. So finally, the secret is, if you want to improve a language, you have to listen to the total part of it, that is total English, or you have to read total English. That is it. That is the only way to learn a language. That is the reason why people doing this and that diploma course and that higher diploma and everything and going to that place and going to this place, still they are struggling to speak. That is the reason. Now, today I wanted to show you that spoken languages should be done with a good flow. Now, here I'm at Goldfort, and we don't have Kolakali, we don't have screens, we have nothing, no, nothing in point form even. But if we have something to say, we can say. Why? We have superhighways of a language that we are thinking of. That is it. So I'm going to wind up this mini lesson, and if you are struggling, and people believe what they believe, they don't try to change it. Can't say, can't help. Yeah. If you think what I say is correct, then what Stephen Krashen says is correct. That is it. Stephen Krashen is a guy, a big guy in the language. So therefore, just go to Total English to improve your English language. So I'm going to wind up this tiny lesson. Give us a like and press the bell icon. Press notifications on, and share this video, and comment. Most importantly, just say what you think about this. Okay, I have told you this number of times, but if you want to fix this, you should hear this again and again. That is the reason why I am continuously talking about comprehensible input. Okay, bye.